See, what we've been doing is we've been lulled to sleep, and we've got one foot in communism and the other foot in the free market. We're nothing. We're neither of those things now. And the radical left is trying to pull us into the boat without us knowing. We have to wake up and start getting our foot out of that boat. But that's what this election is all about. They're going to take it to the streets. They're going to try to emulate these people here behind me, but they're not. They're not. Martin Luther King was not a communist. We're either going to have the complete destruction of the free market system in America and go for communism, or we'll make a beeline back towards the founders. But make no mistake, that's what this next election is all about. The next president is the guy that will chart that course. In 4 years, it will be too late to decide. We don't have it. And here's the problem. Out of the 4,100 Ohio Republicans that are donors, that donate to the GOP, 41,000 GOP donors in Ohio, how many of them were not registered to vote? You're going to find this hard to believe. 19,000. What? They gave money to the GOP, but then they weren't even registered. This isn't going to work this time because there's going to be dead people that are going to be voting for the president. And this next election we have to start a mandate movement. It's a mandate movement. This cannot be a close election. If we have another repeat of 2000, we may not be able to withstand the chaos that the left will cause. We have to make sure the victory is decisive, clear, and leaves no doubt to which path America wants to take. You know how I feel about Mitt Romney. When we're talking about the principles of true small government and real libertarian values, I have my real differences with him. But when we're talking compared to, a communist and a guy who's eating dogs, I'm just saying, what choice do we have, really? This is pretty much a no-brainer. And please stop with, I can't believe he would say he's a communist. You know it and I know it. The outside world wants to deny it. But let me ask you, how? How could they possibly deny that the guy is a communist? I don't think the guy had a chance of being anything but a communist. You kind of feel bad for him when you look at the family tree or the communist tree here. Here's his dad. Barack Obama's dad, you remember him from Dreams from My Father. In other words, the dreams that I got from my father. Well, who was he? If he's got dreams that Barack Obama is downloading, what were his dreams? There's a new report out now from the London Daily Mail. It's part of a 1959 study. The State Department was worried at the time that Kenyans studying in the United States, including Barack Obama's dad, had a reputation for being anti-American and anti-white. Wow. You would think, if George Romney was anti-Kenyan, you'd think we'd hear about that, don't you? The report added, the arrival here of these students, many of them in different academic caliber and ill-prepared for the venture, is likely to give rise to difficult problems. And they were more than right, more than they could possibly ever know. So his dad hates America and is anti-white. When his dad dies, Barack was young. But what about the other caretakers in his life? Where did he go? Well, Grandma and Grandpa, they look great and everything, and I'm sure they're very nice people, but they took Barack Obama to the Little Red Schoolhouse. It's red because it's a communist schoolhouse. That's why it was called the Little Red Schoolhouse. Mom was a communist and a radical. When she got her new husband, Lolo, Obama's stepfather, they moved to Jakarta. That's, I think, where he had dog. Apparently, Lolo wasn't radical enough, so Mom takes little Barack away because he's not communist enough and moves Barack back to Hawaii with the grandparents, where the grandfather decides, I got to find him a mentor, Frank Marshall Davis. Frank Marshall Davis just happens to be a communist. What are the odds? Again, don't you feel a little uncomfortable? I feel bad for him, actually, because he didn't have a chance. When he goes back to college, who does he hang out with? Let Barack Obama say it for himself. Here he is.
To avoid being mistaken for such a sellout, I chose my friends carefully. The more politically active black students, the foreign students, the Chicanos, the Marxist professors and structural feminists and punk rock performance poets.
Okay. So the apple's not falling far from the tree. Of course, the tree doesn't have apples because they lived in a food desert. But anyway. As an adult, he finds Jesus. Okay, that's great. But who's he find it from? A guy who says Jesus is a black man and hates white man. And he also hates the Jews. Jesus does. He's a radical Marxist, anti-Semite, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. He defends him all the way, and when he can't take the heat anymore, and they finally say, just throw the guy under the bus, where does he turn for his spiritual advice? Another guy, Jim Wallis, another Marxist, a spiritual Marxist. Really? He meets in Chicago, but it's definitely not friends, with radical underground, Weather Underground member Bill Ayers, another Marxist, communist, radical revolutionary. Then he teaches school about this guy. He teaches in college Saul Alinsky, another radical communist that this guy understands, this guy understands, this guy understood, this guy understood. Really? When he goes to Congress, he is the farthest left out of everyone there. Even the self-described socialist Bernie Sanders, who I have respect for because at least he says what he is. He's farther left than the socialist. And then he goes on, as president, to appoint Van Jones, a communist. Well, he was. I haven't heard about his turning point. Valerie Jarrett, this is his best friend, Valerie Jarrett. Guess who her father was? Her father-in-law just happened to be a Chicago reporter, a communist, and a buddy of Frank Marshall Davis, the communist that Barack hung out with. This is the tie on how these two got together. By the way, we have a new book coming out called The Communist. It's not written by me. It's written by Paul Kengor. He's the author of Ronald Reagan, and he tells the story of Barack Obama's real mentor. It's critical that you understand who mentored him. Look for it this July. But I warn you, Obama is living in one big communist tree. I mean, he's like a communist Keebler elf, you know, that gives the cookies away for fairness and justice. How many communists do you know? I don't know anyone. And we've gone down this road before, but it seems like everyone around the president during his childhood and his entire life have been communists, radicals, or revolutionaries. Again, you feel sorry. The guy didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance. There's nobody in this circle of friends that's defending George Washington. No one. No one. So why would it be out of line to call him a communist? If I surround myself with a bunch of people that talk about George Washington and everything else, and a bunch of Christians, wouldn't you say it's a pretty good shot that I'm a Christian conservative? Of course. It'd be more shocking if he weren't a communist. It'd take a miracle not to be one after this upbringing. I'm not sure how much lower we can lower this bar, but you know, we're starting at communist. I don't think we can go any lower. Ronald Reagan, Mitt Romney is not. But Che, Stalin, even a Mao lover, Mitt Romney is not. He's also never feasted on man's best friend, but I digress. The thing that's disturbing about the feasting on man's best friend is Barack Obama went on to brag about it, to be able to use that in his book as, his worldly credential. If I wanted to fix America, I'd reverse everything this president has ever done. Everything. But to be able to do that, you have to have a mandate. This one can't be close. The good news is, all of this stuff is starting to come undone. And hopefully, people will be able to see Mitt Romney for who he is. You might disagree with him, but he doesn't hate America. His family didn't hate America. He doesn't want to destroy the Constitution. Americans are starting to figure it out. And as long as we move forward with love and not hate, we win.